Hey everybody, welcome to Alum House Sound. This is Dave, and today we're going to be working with some setups for people that are doing recording in a studio environment. So stick around, we'll talk about effects next. All right, so recently I've had a lot of people calling me and working one-on-one with folks that are taking these consoles, the X32 and the M32, into a studio environment. It's super exciting because there's so much power packed in these desks and you can use them for so many different things. But today we're going to talk about effects. So you spend time building your inputs and you're working with all of the compression and EQ, and then you want to record those tracks, but you might have been using the onboard effects, reverbs, delays, and those things, and you want to record those into your DAW as well. So we're going to dive into the console. We're going to take a look at how we can set up our routing, use some outputs and some custom user output settings to get all of those effects right into your DAW so that you can mix them the same way that you're hearing them in your headphones or in your monitors. All right, so let's dive into the console now. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into the basic setup that I've got here. Currently, all of my inputs are set to local inputs, 1 to 32. I've got myself a little microphone here on a boom, and this is going into channel 1. So if I talk into this microphone, check, 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 you can see that my level is coming up over here on microphone 1. So I just have gain. You can do all your EQ and compression, but the basic thing that we're going to do next is we're going to select some effects. So if I come up to my screen here and hit effects, now I've got two effects set up. I've a stereo delay as effects rack 1 and then a plate reverb as effects rack 2. Now as standard default setting, that is set to bus 13 and 14. So on the right side of the screen here, I'm going to come down and hit bus 9 through 16. And what I'm going to do is come over here to bus 13. I will hit select and then send zone fader. And this allows me now to bring this one microphone up into the effect rack. And so now you can see that my effect rack has some input coming in. I'm going to do the same thing on effects rack 2. So I'll select that and then I'll bring this up to 0. So now I have input signal going into both effects racks. And so that is, again, you can see now on the screen, maybe the screen's really small in this, but we'll zoom in a second and take a look at some of this stuff. But anyway, you've got input and output levels on those. If I say check, check, check. All right, so we've got some levels coming through there. I'm going to turn my mains down because my headphones are right next to me and it's kind of annoying. Anyway, we're going to deselect sends on fader. And so now we have one microphone and we've got two effects. You can also see if we come down to effects returns here, that we do have our returns coming in here on these effects returns. That is effects rack 1 and effects rack 2 for the returns back into the console. But the goal now is to get these routed so that they can get recorded into your DAW so that you can refine all of your effects on the board and then send them into the DAW. Now, as we talked about previously, you do have to give up some of your output channels. So you have 32 channels that are going out from this console. For each effect that you want to do, because they are stereo returns and you want these to be in stereo, we are going to have to pick 2 channels per effect. So in this case, I'm going to record 2 effects worth, which is 4 channels. So out of my 32 channels now, I could record 28 channels and then 4 channels of effects. So let's take a look at the routing there with that. All right, so let's take a look at our routing screen here. This is where it starts to get kind of important for what we're going to do. So on our inputs, all of our inputs, like I said, are set up for the local inputs 1 to 32. You may be using AES 50. It doesn't really matter at this point what you're going to be doing. This is just where your inputs are coming in into the console. The next place we're going to go is over to outs. So this is routing and then the out tab. Now here, for me, I'm only using one microphone, and then I'm going to be using 4 outputs. So I'm sending a total of 5 channels over to my DAW. So for me, the simplicity of this, what I'm going to do is skip output 1, because that's going to end up being used for our microphone. So I'm going to skip output 1. I'm going to come to output 2, and this will make more sense in a second. But output 2, I'm going to go to direct out, and then I'm going to come all the way down here, and I can choose direct out, and way down here, effects rack 1 left. Now you can set this up as pre-fader or post-fader. If you do post-fader, then it is going to be impacted by the level that you have in your house mix. So the level of the fader, which is normally going to be heard in your house mix. If that's what you want and you want to record exactly as you hear it in your headphones or in your monitors, then that's the way you want it to be, post-fader. That's how I have mine set up. So then I'm going to skip down here to effects output 3, and then effects rack 1 right. I'm going to repeat this for 4, and I've already done this for effects rack 2 left, and then my 5th channel is effects rack 2 right. So now I have 1 microphone and 4 effects racks for a total of 5 channels that we're going to be using. Next thing we need to do is jump over to user outs. We're going to come down to output 1 through 8. So now this is where we set up a custom user output setting. So output 1, this is going to be our local in 1. Then output 2, we're going to come down to output, and now we're going to grab output 2 because we set that up as our effects rack 1 left. So output 3, output 4, and then output 5. So this is where we're saying now that we have microphone 1 and then effects rack 1 and effects rack 2 with our stereo outputs. Last thing we need to do is jump back over to our card tab so that we can send these out to our DAW. So for me, all of my stuff is going to be on the first 5 channels. So I'm just going to run this down here, and I'm going to grab user out 1 through 8, and you'll see on the screen here on the right that it says local in 1, and then we have effects rack 1 left and right, effects rack 2 left and right. And that gives us our outputs for a microphone and those 2 effects racks going through the card into our DAW. Now you have to map those into your DAW, but these will be coming across USB 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so we're taking a look here at the DAW, and what I've got is a real basic mapping here. If we come in, so as I said, I have 5 inputs here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Basic mapping, that's outputs, but inputs here, inputs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And like I said, I've got the track set up here. So microphone is input 1, and then 2, 3 is an effect return left and right. 4 and 5 is effect 2 left and right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit record here. I'm going to talk into the microphone, and then you'll be able to see that what it's recording. So check. Hey, good morning. Check. 1, 2. We have 5 channels of audio coming in. 5. And so you can see here, if we listen back, you would have some doubling here from the stereo delay, and then the reverb is a long tail reverb, and we can kind of see that played out in that picture of the waveform there. Hey, so that's a quick video. I hope you found that helpful of a way to get your effects into your DAW. Now, keep in mind, depending on how many inputs you're using, you may have to use your custom user outputs at a later section, meaning like 25 to 32 or 17 to 24, some block that fits your custom specific setup. Well, hey, go ahead and hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. There's plenty of other videos on this channel that may be helpful for you if you're using this console in any environment, live, front of house, or in the studio. And if you've got questions, leave those in the comments down below. I'm always answering questions, and I'd love to help you out with your mixing needs. Well, thanks so much. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.